I did it. I sold the FS5. Welcome back to Film It Friday. If you're new here, my name's Chris. I'm a videographer, photographer, and YouTuber. I make videos every single week about video and photography related reviews, tips, and tricks. So if you think you'd like that kind of thing, why not hit the subscribe button? So today I'm just going to be talking you through why I sold the FS5 and what I've replaced it with. So this is quite a sad video for me to make. It's quite a sad topic in general because ever since I started filmmaking, the only camera that I ever wanted to get my hands on was the FS5. It was my absolute dream camera. It looked like the perfect solution for the kind of films that I make. For me personally, it didn't really live up to my expectations. There's lots of people out there that love the FS5 and I can see why, but for me and my kind of style, I'm very much a run and gun videographer. It just wasn't performing how I wanted it to perform. So let me just start by saying the few things that I really liked about the FS5. The built-in ND. Oh, why doesn't every camera have a built-in ND? It was a lifesaver. It really helps create those really cinematic shots that I was looking for. The 240 frames a second at 1080p. Oh, that's what I wanted it for. I know the FS700 does that, but I really wanted the FS5 just because that was the biggest and best camera that I could afford. The battery life was unbelievable. With the battery I had in it, which was an NPF battery, which was about that long, it would last about 8 hours on one continuous battery. Never had to charge it up during a shoot. It was amazing. XLR inputs so that I could connect any kind of microphone I wanted. Didn't have to worry about phantom power, all that good stuff with the audio. Yeah, I'm gonna miss that. Kind of. You'll see why in a minute. So lenses, we've got loads of E-mount lenses that go on our A6300s and we could just swap them off, put them on the FS5 and we were good to go. So they're the reasons that I like the FS5 and I am really gonna miss those features, especially the 240 frames a second in 1080. Now on to the reasons that I don't like the FS5. The first one, the main problem I had with that camera, autofocus. I'm using an A6300 to film this video and look at my face, it's absolutely pin sharp, I would assume, because the autofocus on the A6300 is just amazing. It's so sharp, it's so quick, and it doesn't really hunt too much. With the FS5, if I was filming a ceremony or some speeches in a wedding, we've had a couple of instances where it's missed focus and we've got an hour's worth of out of focus 4K footage. Pretty useless when it comes to weddings. And even if I was in manual focus, I would punch in on the image and it just wasn't clear enough for me to see if it was pin sharp or not. Even using, I've got a small HD focus monitor, even using that, it just wasn't good enough for me to nail focus every single time. Now the second reason is it's just not portable enough. It's not as versatile as something like an A6300. We do lots of monopod work, we do lots of gimbal work. It won't go on a gimbal very easily, and if it does, it's really heavy and cumbersome. Handheld, I don't find it that comfortable to use. I know lots of people out there say it's the best camera out there, it's so ergonomic, and you can use it all day with no problems. That's what I've heard a lot of. For me, that isn't the case. If I'm holding the camera up like this, I've got quite a weak wrist on this side and it's just really painful to hold there for a long period of time. The third reason is it's getting quite old, but it is still worth quite a lot of money. There are new cameras coming out which have got better features for half the price. So I thought, why not sell it now before the A7S III comes out, and the price literally will get cut in half when the A7S III comes out. So it's all done and dusted. I sold the FS5, I sold the 18-105 f4, I sold the batteries, I sold the charger, and I guess you're wondering what I'm going to replace it with. So last week I stumbled across a video of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Wow, that's a long name. I'm just going to call it the Blackmagic from now on through this video. It's not a new camera. It's been out for, well, coming up to a year now. and I've seen it around, but I've never really thought much of it. I've never really looked into the specs of it because it takes micro four thirds lenses, and I've just got Sony E-mount lenses which will not go on a micro four thirds body. But I just happened to look at this camera, I just happened to watch this video, and it completely changed my mind about it. Some of the features that I love about it: it does 4K 60 frames a second. It does 120 frames a second in window mode in 1080p, so very similar to our Sony a6300s. It does 12-bit color, so you can really play with that image. You can make it look however you want. It shoots RAW video, and it's unbelievably good. It's like discovering RAW when you're a photographer and you go from JPEG to RAW and you're like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this for the past couple of years? Why have I been shooting JPEG when I could be shooting RAW? It's the same kind of thing with video. Why aren't I shooting RAW other than the file size, which I'm a bit scared of? The next thing I really like is the big screen on the back. It looks so user-friendly and such a nice display to be filming with. When you're filming with the tiny little Sony cameras, the screen sucks. The screen also sucks on the FS5. And the final nail in the coffin for the FS5 was I can mount it on my Crane 2 gimbal or any gimbal, and I can still use it. When I mounted the FS5 on the gimbal, it just wouldn't balance properly. I'm so excited to try out the Blackmagic. So let me present to you my new Blackmagic camera. Well, here's the cage, the battery plate, the monitor, the side handle and SSD holder, but the camera hasn't arrived yet. I ordered it last week. I've ordered it at two places, H. Preston and CVP. Pre-ordered it at both places, so hopefully one of those guys will give it to me quite soon. H. Preston said it would be here last Monday, so fingers crossed by next week I'll have some footage to show you of my brand new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. So if you're thinking of swapping from the FS5 or the A7S or the Canon 5D to the Blackmagic, I can't actually recommend it yet because I've not used it. It looks amazing, but I'm not going to recommend it until I've actually had a play with it, and hopefully next week's video you will see some sample footage of the Blackmagic. There are some negatives that come along with that low price point, like the battery life being terrible, like the fact that you need to spend £1,000 on external peripherals to actually get the best out of the camera. So we sold the FS5 for £2,800. I've spent £2,700 on the Blackmagic to get a bare bones, nice working setup. So that's the kind of price point you're going to be looking at. You need that much money to pump into the infrastructure to be able to use the camera effectively, unless you've already got some micro four thirds lenses. I've bought the 12 to 35 2.8 Panasonic lens. That's the only lens I've got which is going to work on it for the time being. I might get more lenses in the future, but to start off with, I think that's going to be a great lens. So this is just a quick update to let you know what I've been doing the past couple of weeks. I've been trying to sell the FS5, which we did sell at the end of last week. And then I've been researching all the components that I want to put on the Blackmagic camera, ordered them, put them together. I will do a video specifically about the Blackmagic and how I've rigged it. I'm really happy with my little setup, just cannot wait for the camera to arrive. If you like the video of my shed being transported, there might be another video on that next week, or it might be a little bit further down the line. We're actually going to start construction on Monday. So Monday through to Friday, we've got a digger here and we're digging out the foundations, we're building the supports, and we're actually going to start putting the man shed together. Really excited about that. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you feel the urge, you can support me on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. It helps me buy better equipment, better lighting, better audio, and generally supports the channel. As I'm never going to be adding ads to these videos, it really will support me. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again next week.